The First World War. Once upon a time, there was a big war called the First World War. It happened a long time ago, before you and I were born. It lasted between 1914 to 1918. Many countries from all around the world were involved in this war. The war started because some countries didn't agree with each other and had arguments. They thought that fighting would solve their problems. So, they gathered their armies and began to fight. The soldiers were young men who left their families and homes to join the war. They were brave but scared at the same time. They had to go to faraway places and face many dangers. The soldiers lived in narrow trenches dug in the ground. These trenches were their homes during the war. Life in the trenches was tough. It was muddy, wet, and cold. They had to be careful of the enemy's attacks and protect themselves. Every day, there were loud sounds of guns and bombs. The soldiers had to stay alert and ready to fight. Many soldiers got injured or sick from the terrible conditions. They missed their families and longed for the war to be over. The war lasted for a long time, and there were many battles fought. Both sides wanted to win and fought with all their might. They used different weapons like guns, tanks, and airplanes. But as the war went on, people realized that it was causing too much pain and destruction. Many lives were lost, and cities were ruined. Families were torn apart, and there was sadness everywhere. Finally, after many years of fighting, the leaders of the countries decided to stop the war. They signed an agreement called an armistice, which meant that the fighting would end. Everyone was relieved and hoped that peace would come. The First World War was a time of great sadness and loss. Many people lost their loved ones, and the world was forever changed. But from this war, people learned the importance of peace and working together. Even today, we remember the First World War and honor the soldiers who fought bravely. We hope that the world will never experience such a devastating war again. We strive for peace, so that everyone can live happily and safely. The Second World War. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was another big war called the Second World War. It happened after the First World War and it lasted between 1939 to 1945. In this war, even more countries were involved than in the first one. Some powerful countries wanted more land and power, so they started invading other countries. They thought they could take over the world. The war started when one country, called Germany, attacked another country called Poland. This made other countries angry because they wanted to protect Poland. So, they joined together to fight against Germany and Italy. Just like in the First World War, there were soldiers who left their homes and families to fight. They were brave men and women who wanted to defend their countries and fight for freedom. The soldiers fought in many different places all over the world. They faced many challenges, like fighting in the cold snow or the hot deserts. They had to be strong and courageous. Life during the war was difficult for everyone. Many people had to leave their homes and became refugees, searching for a safe place to live. They left everything behind and faced hardships. There were many battles fought during the war. The soldiers used new weapons like airplanes, tanks, and submarines. It was a time of great advancements in technology, but also a time of great destruction. Innocent people suffered greatly during the war. Cities were bombed, and many lives were lost. Families were separated, and children became orphans. It was a time of sadness and fear for so many people. But eventually, the war came to an end. The countries fighting against Germany and Italy won. They worked together and defeated the enemy. The world rejoiced, hoping that peace would finally come. The Second World War taught the world many lessons. It showed the importance of standing up against injustice and working together for peace. People realized that war brings only destruction and sadness.